You could have watched something light, but you chose the dark instead. These are real places, real nights, and stories that don't let you sleep easy. You're here now. Let's begin. The cameras at Eastern State said that hallway was empty. My radio said I was the only guard on duty. But at 2:17 a.m., I watched a cell door swing open on its own. And I heard someone breathing in my ear. From a cell that's been empty since the 70s. I work night security at Eastern State Penitentiary in Philly. Yeah, that Eastern State. The creepy stone castle, one of the first places in the U.S. to use solitary confinement. The place every ghost show on TV comes crawling through with night vision cameras and screaming at dust. For me, it started as just a job. I was laid off from a warehouse gig. Bills were stacking up, and a buddy told me, "Bro, the old prison up on Fairmount is hiring night guys. It's dead at night. Easy paycheck." Dead at night turned out to be not the best wording. My shift runs 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., when the last tours are gone and the old stone corridors are supposed to be empty. I walk the blocks. I watch the monitors in the tiny office. I make sure no idiot jumps the fence or hides in a cell for a dare. Eastern State is a museum now. No inmates since the early 70s. On paper, nobody lives here. My first couple weeks were chill. Cold as hell in winter. Those stone walls don't care about your jacket, but nothing crazy. Sometimes the wind moans through broken windows and pigeons knock stuff off ledges. Normal old building stuff. The first night that really messed with me was a Thursday, around 2 a.m. My first time doing rounds alone without the older guard shadowing me. His name's Paul. He's been here like 10 years. On my very first shift, he told me, "If you hear something in C Block after midnight, just remember they built this place to hold sound, in some of it never left." At the time, I laughed it off. Now I kinda want to smack that version of me. Anyway, that night, I leave the little security office, head out with my flashlight and radio, doing my usual route. Admin area, gift shop, main corridor, then the blocks. Eastern State at night feels different than during the day. In the daytime, you've got tourists with headsets, guides talking about Al Capone's cell, kids running ahead of their parents. At night, the echo is different. It's like the building is muttering to itself. I'm walking past some of the older cell blocks, and I'm doing that thing where you keep telling yourself, it's just a building, old stone, rust, history. That's it. Chill, man. My boots clack on the floor, sound bouncing up into the arched ceiling. Every little noise feels huge in here. I hit the turn into C Block. The second I step in, the temperature feels like it drops 5 degrees. I know that sounds cliché, but I swear the air is heavier in there. The corridor is long and straight, lined with steel doors with little square peepholes. This block is always on the ghost tours. Tourists love it. Halfway down, one of the fluorescent lights overhead flickers. Then the next one buzzes like a dying fly. I thumb my radio. "Yo, Paul, you still got eyes on C Block? Lights are doing that disco thing again." He comes back sounding half bored, half tired. "Yeah, man. Seen that all week. Old wiring. Just keep walking. If it goes dark, I'll reboot." "Appreciate it," I say, trying to sound more relaxed than I feel. I'm walking, sweeping my flashlight along the floor, checking for trash or anything left behind from tours. Some of the cell doors are permanently open for exhibits. Some stay closed. I pass one open cell and instinctively glance in. Rusted bed frame, peeling paint, graffiti someone carved decades ago. That's when I feel it. Like somebody leaned in way too close and whispered right into my left ear. But with no actual whisper. Just the burn of breath brushing my skin. I spin around so hard my flashlight beam jumps all over the walls. The corridor behind me is empty. Just a long line of doors, and the exit sign glow at the end. Paul, I say, heart thumping now. You didn't accidentally key up and breathe into the radio or something, did you? He snorts. Dude, if I was pranking you, you'd know. Cameras show you solo. Chill. You're almost at the end. Yeah, I mutter. Easy for you to say. You're not in a horror movie hallway right now. I keep going. That's when I hear metal. A clean clank, like a door latch being tested. Not slammed, just jiggled. I freeze. Listen. Another clank. A little closer, I swing my light down the row. All the doors look shut. Then I see it. About 10 cells up on my left. The door to C214 is cracked open just a couple inches, just enough to be wrong. For the record, I know that door was closed earlier. We'd had an event, and I walked through with one of the daytime supervisors. We checked every door. I'd even pushed that one with my hand, because the rust looked sketchy. Paul, I say, voice low now. You seeing an open door on your feed? Pause, static. Nah, he says. All C-block doors are showing as closed from up here. Well, from down here, C214 is absolutely not closed, I say. You sure that camera isn't lagging or something? Same busted camera as last month, he says. We had a frozen frame on that cell too. Looked normal even when the door was open. Maintenance hasn't gotten around to it. Just check it, log it, and bounce. I really want to say, nah. I'm good, actually. But this is the kind of thing that gets you written up. So I walk toward the open door. Up close, the rust on the edges looks almost black in the low light. I can see the number plate, 214. I push the door open with 2 fingers, flashlight beam cutting into the little concrete box. It's bare. Peeling paint, concrete floor, a narrow bed frame, a little shelf shadow in the far corner where the light doesn't quite reach. Front desk, I start to say automatically, then catch myself. Old habit. Security. If anybody's in here, you picked the worst Airbnb in Philly, man. Silence. But above me, above the cell, like on the second level, I hear it. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate. Heel, toe, heel, toe. Pacing above my head. Problem is, the upper tier is sealed. No public access, no tours. No staff goes up there at night unless something is very wrong. Paul, I say, not taking my eyes off that dark corner, you positive there's nobody on the second level of C block? Positive, he says. Only motion I see is you. By 214. Why? What do you hear? I open my mouth to answer, and the footsteps stop. The silence drops on the block like a blanket. Then, from inside 214, just past the bed frame, in that shadow, my light can't chew through. Someone exhales, long, slow, like a guy letting his lungs deflate after holding his breath for way too long. I swear, my whole body goes cold. Yeah, nope, I say out loud, backing up so fast I almost trip, calling this a loose latch, and moving on. I swing the door shut hard enough to make the metal ring. From down the corridor, another handle rattles, then another. Like someone walking past the cells on the inside, checking each door from the wrong side. I do what any brave, responsible adult would do in that situation. I walk, not run, but way faster than normal. The second I step out of C block into the main corridor, it feels like someone took their hand off my chest. I can breathe again. C214 door is closed, I say into the radio, trying to sound professional. Latch might be loose. I'll write it up in the log. Copy, Paul says. You're clear of C block? Yeah. Good, he says, because the feed just froze on that camera again. Looks like you were never there. A couple of nights later, I come in and there's a printed incident report on the security desk with a sticky note that just says, "You're not crazy." I read it. 2 years before I got hired, Paul himself filed a report about hearing footsteps and voices in C block, while the cameras showed nothing, same block. Same open door that looks closed on camera. Same conclusion. Unexplained audio anomaly. So now I know two things. 1. I'm not the only one hearing it. 2. Whatever it is, it's got a routine. Over the next few weeks, the pattern locks in. Around 2:10 to 2:20 a.m., I hear that slow pacing overhead if I'm anywhere near C block. If I get close to 214, I feel that warm, stale breath at my ear again. Sometimes, when I walk down the corridor, I swear I hear two sets of footsteps, mine and a quieter one half a beat off. One night, just to prove to myself I wasn't losing it, I tried something stupid. I walked C block with my phone recording in my pocket. Video rolling, camera pointed at the floor, just picking up audio. I didn't say anything, just walked. Past 214. Heard the exhale. Heard the faint clink of a handle behind me. On the camera feed in the office, Paul said later, it showed nothing weird. Just me walking, checking doors. When I got home that morning, I played the video back with earbuds in. My boots on concrete. My breathing radio crackle. Right as I pass 214, there's a voice. Low, broken, like someone whose vocal cords are shot. That's it. Just that one word. I didn't hear it in the moment. On the recording, it was clear. I triple-checked that Paul wasn't talking on the radio then. Radio logs were clean. I didn't show that video to anybody. I deleted it. Some stuff you don't want to keep in your phone. We had an outside contractor come in later that month to check the lights and cameras in C block. Electrician hadn't been to Eastern State before. He came back from his walkthrough looking pale, asked Paul, "Hey, were there supposed to be voices playing on some kind of audio track down there?" "Nope," Paul said. "We don't run sound at night." Dude just nodded slowly and said, "Okay, must have been my imagination then," and switched subjects real quick. I still work there. I still walk that block. I just changed how I do it. I don't linger in front of C214. I don't stare into the dark corners. I don't trash talk the place, even as a joke. And I don't argue anymore when tourists or staff say they heard something in that wing. If they ask me, all I say is, this was one of the first prisons in America to lock people up alone with their thoughts. We shut the doors. We never figured out how to shut the echo off. The official records say C block has been empty for decades. The cameras back that up. But if you ever get on a night tour at Eastern State, and your guide stops in that long hallway and goes quiet for a second, don't panic if you feel breath on the side of your face that nobody's standing on. Some counts just never finished. And some nights, C block still thinks it's 2 a.m. and the guards are late. Hang tight. Light move to the next real story. I booked a cute haunted hotel in Arkansas for a work trip. Thought I'd get a fun story out of it. Instead, the empty room next to mine called my phone all night. The front desk said 419 hadn't been rented in days. I'm not the kind of person who normally posts on horror forums, but I honestly don't know what to do with this, except write it down. This happened in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, at the Crescent Hotel, the one that calls itself America's Most Haunted Hotel. You can Google it. It's real. They do ghost tours and everything. In the 1930s, some con artist named Norman Baker ran a fake cancer hospital there. A lot of people never walked out. I didn't know all those details when I booked. I just saw historic hotel, mountain view, breakfast included. And it was in my company's per diem range. Good enough. I was in town for a 3-day training, nothing exciting. They gave me room 417 on the fourth floor, near the end of the hallway. The first night was fine. The place is old. The floors creak. You hear pipes and doors and people dragging suitcases. I actually kind of liked the vibe. It felt like being inside a movie set. The second night is when things got weird. I finally got back to my room around 11:30 p.m., exhausted. I took a shower, answered a couple emails I'd been avoiding, and climbed into bed. I noticed, faintly, a kind of tap-tap-tap from the wall behind my headboard. I figured it was pipes or somebody in the next room fiddling with a cabinet. No big deal. I must have dozed off. Sometime after midnight, my room phone rang. You know that heavy landline they have in older hotels? That I jumped, grabbed it, half asleep. Hello? Static. Then, breathing. Not like heavy prank breathing. Just this slow, rough inhale and exhale. Then a click. I assumed it was the front desk, maybe a glitch, maybe a wrong extension. I checked the little screen on the handset. Call from 419. I frowned. Okay, not the front desk. I didn't think too hard about it. Someone in room 419 must have dialed the wrong room. Whatever. I put the phone back and rolled over. 5 minutes later, it rang again. Same thing. Call from 419. Breathing. Click. Now I'm awake. I hit the line button that calls the front desk. Hey, this is 417, I said. Sorry to bug you, but the room next door keeps calling me and hanging up. Can you ask them to chill? I've got to be up early. The woman at the desk sounded a little too calm. I'm sorry about that. You said 419 is calling you? Yeah. I'll take a look at that, she said. For what it's worth, 419 is showing as vacant in our system. No one should be in there. I sat up straighter. So who keeps calling me? Sometimes the lines glitch, she said. Old building. If it keeps happening, I can move you to another room. It did keep happening. Over the next hour, my phone lit up probably 8 or 9 times. Always the same. 419, breathing, then nothing. I tried ignoring it. I tried leaving it off the hook. Somehow, it still managed to flash that little red message light at me like a heartbeat. The tap, tap, tap in the wall started again too. Not like random pipe noises, it was too rhythmic. 3 taps. Pause, 2 taps. Pause. Over and over. At around 1:30 a.m., I'd had enough. I threw on a hoodie, grabbed my keycard, and went down to the front desk in person. The night clerk, a younger woman with dark hair and tired eyes, looked up from behind the big wooden counter. Hi, I said, trying not to sound as annoyed as I felt. I'm in 417. I called earlier. The phone thing is still happening. And now there's this tapping in the wall, I swear. I'm not trying to be that guest, but I really need to sleep. Her face changed when I said 417. It wasn't fear exactly. More like, oh, this again? Your phone shows calls coming from 419? She asked. Yeah, every time. She glanced at the monitor on her desk. Our system still shows 419 as vacant, she said. Nobody checked in there for 3 nights. I can send maintenance up to check the phone lines. Do you want to switch rooms? I can move you down a floor. Something in me stubbornly didn't want to run away from it. Let's try fixing it first, I said. If it keeps going, I'll take a different room tomorrow. She radioed maintenance, this guy named Mark, and said quietly into the mic, Hey, 419 phone's acting up again. Can you go up with me? The word again did not make me feel better. We all went up together, me, the clerk, and Mark, with a little tool bag. The hallway on 4 was quiet. Those old wall lamps cast this warm, flickery light that made every picture look like it was watching you. The clerk knocked on 419 first, just in case. "Front desk," she called. "Anyone in there?" No answer. She opened it with a master key. The room was spotless. Bed made tight. Bathroom light off. No luggage. No half-drunk water bottle. Nothing. Mark went straight to the phone, popped the little wall plate off, and checked the wiring. "Line's fine," he said after a minute. "No corrosion. No loose connection." "Then why does it keep calling my room?" I asked. "Because this place is extra," he muttered, then looked at the clerk. "You tell her about the Baker stuff?" "I was saving that for the tour," she said, then looked at me. "This used to be a so-called cancer hospital. Norman Baker told people he could cure them here. He couldn't. A lot of people died in these rooms. 419 is one of the rooms guests complain about the most." "That's great," I said. "Super comforting." While we were standing there, the phone on the nightstand lit up, not ringing out loud, just the message, light blinking. The little screen flashed. "New call from 000, all zeros." The clerk and I stared at it. "Is that normal?" I asked. "Nope," Mark said immediately. The phone didn't ring, but we could all hear something faint coming out of the tiny speaker, even though it was on the hook, not words. Just that same broken breathing under a layer of static. The clerk stepped forward, picked it up, and said softly, "Front desk, we hear you. The line's working." The breathing stuttered once, then the line went dead. The light turned off. "You say that a lot?" I asked. She looked embarrassed. "Sometimes," she said. "Started doing it as a joke. It seems to help. The calls slow down after I say it." They walked me back to my room. They offered again to move me. I said no, because clearly I hate myself. The rest of the night my phone stayed quiet. The wall didn't. Around 3 a.m. the tapping started again. 3 taps. Pause. 2 taps. Pause. I pressed my ear to the wall. Bad idea. Under the tapping I could hear something else. A murmur. A voice too faint to make out. Like someone talking on the other side of a hospital curtain. I stepped back, grabbed my cell, and hit record on the voice memo app. Just held it in the middle of the room while the tapping continued. When I played it back in the morning with earbuds in, most of it was just room noise and my own heartbeat. But right before the tapping stops, a woman's voice whispers very clearly, "Is he ready for me yet?" No TV. No neighbors checked into the other room. The hotel records later confirmed no one else was on that side of the hall. I didn't stay a third night. I checked out a day early and told my boss I'd rather drive home at 6 p.m. than risk another round of ghost calls. The clerk didn't look surprised when I left. She just slid my receipt over and said, "If you ever come back, maybe request the second floor instead." I still have that recording. Some days, I think about deleting it. Some days, I replay those 3 seconds and wonder how many times that same question was asked in that building before someone finally realized Baker was a fraud. If you ever stay at the Crescent and your room phone lights up around midnight with 419 on the screen, answer once, very calmly, and say, "The desk hears you." Then hang up, because whatever patient was waiting in 419, nobody ever came to roll their bed out. The story ends here with many questions. Let's move to our final nightmare. Salem sells witches on every corner in October. But what made Liam stop joking about it wasn't a jump scare or a Ouija board. It was a woman on the security camera who asked him why he kept turning real dead people into a theme. In 2019, Liam took a job in Salem, Massachusetts, because, in his words, "Rent's stupid. I need a paycheck. And if tourists want to buy plastic broomsticks, that's their problem." He ended up working nights at a small privately run witch trials museum just off Essex Street. Not the big wax one. This was a restored colonial-style house with low ceilings, crooked floors, and exhibits about the 1692 Salem witch trials. Important detail: this house was not where the trials happened. It wasn't where the accused were jailed. And it definitely wasn't where anyone was executed. But for tourists, it looked close enough. Slap some plaques on the walls, dim the lights. Boom! Spooky history. Liam's job on late nights was part tour guide, part closer. He'd take the last group through at 10 or 11 p.m., do the candlelit walk-through history routine, answer the same questions over and over. Did they really burn witches here? No. In Salem, they hanged 19 and pressed one man to death. Nobody was burned. Is this the real courtroom? No. Is this house actually haunted? Depends who you ask and how late it is. After the tours, he'd lock the front door, help the front desk worker, Jen, count the register, then go upstairs and turn off all the exhibit audio and lights. The night that changed him started the same way. It was late October, a cold, wet night. The kind where the harbor wind slides down the streets and under your jacket. The last tour group shuffled out into the drizzle. Jen locked up and flipped the sign to closed. The sound of Essex Street, buskers, drunk people, someone arguing about tarot cards, filtered in, muffled through the old glass windows. Second-floor audio still on, Jen said, looking at the monitor that showed which systems were active. You want to get it, or should I? I got it, Liam said. You've been trapped at the desk all night. Go count the damage. He climbed the narrow wooden stairs, which complained under every step. The second-floor gallery had a looped ambient track. Fake murmurs, a gavel sound, creaking wood. He hated that thing. He clicked it off. The silence that dropped into the room wasn't total. The building itself still made noise. Timbers settling, pipes ticking, wind nudging the windows. He turned to head back toward the stairs. A woman stood in the next doorway. She didn't look like a tourist. No puffy jacket, no camera strap, no Salem souvenir bag. She wore a plain dark dress that brushed her ankles, a shawl over her shoulders, and a white linen cap over hair pulled back hard from her face. Her clothes looked lived in, not like a costume. For a second, he thought she might be some new mannequin they'd rolled in without telling him. Then she shifted her weight. Her eyes tracked him. Hey, he said, brain scrambling for the customer voice. Sorry, we're actually closed. Last tour went out 10 minutes ago. Did you get separated from your group? She glanced at the name boards on the wall, the ones listing the accused and executed. She didn't look impressed. You shouldn't keep them here, she said. Her voice didn't echo. It sounded like it had to travel a long way just to get to his ears. Keep who? He asked. She nodded at the displays. Them, she said. Their names, their stories. This isn't where it happened. We tell people that, he said quickly. We say this is like representing what a house might have looked like. The real executions were on a hill out by the ledge. We don't lie about that part. You speak as if these walls remember the rope, she said. They don't. The hill does. The tree does. He knew what she meant. Proctor's Ledge. The confirmed execution site near Gallows Hill, now a little memorial across from a Walgreens. Locals walk their dogs there. We have a panel about that downstairs, he said, because it's what the script said. We talk about how it was hysteria, how people got swept up in, fear. She looked back at him. You talk about witches, she said. You sell them in hats and shirts and mugs. You say their names like they were symbols, not people who had kitchens and bad backs and children. That's kinda harsh, he said weakly. We're trying to keep their memory alive. If we don't tell the story, who will? Tell it right, she said. Tell them we were accused. Tell them it was neighbors. Tell them it was small-town grudges and land and fear. Don't tell them we flew. In the hallway, a cold draft snuck under his collar. From the street below, someone yelled, "Woo, witches!" followed by laughter. He blinked. She'd vanished. No footsteps. No lingering shadow. She just wasn't there anymore. He walked through the room she'd been standing in. Nothing. Just mannequins around a table. A fake loaf of bread. A replica spinning wheel. His radio crackled. "Everything good?" Jen's voice. Motion sensor blinked for a second. "Yeah," he said, forcing his voice steady. "Thought I saw someone. Probably just me tripping the sensor." He didn't tell her what the woman said. It sounded too much like the made-up stories they sell in the gift shop. 2 nights later, the cameras caught her. They had a cheap CCTV setup, grainy black-and-white image of each floor, looping on a small monitor in the office. Around 11:40 p.m., while Jen was counting singles, the second-floor motion light blinked on the alarm panel. "Again?" she muttered, looking up at the screen. On the monitor, the upstairs gallery showed its usual chairs and display cases. Then, in the doorway closest to the stairwell, a shape appeared. Same dress, same shawl, same cap. She stood half in shadow, looking down at the floor, not at the camera. Liam watched as she slowly lifted her head, like she was listening. "You see that?" he asked quietly. Jen stared. "If I say no, will the universe respect that?" she said. "Because Yeah, I see it." She reached for the phone. "I'm calling the alarm company," she muttered. "Maybe the system is, I don't know, replaying old footage or something." Before she could dial, the figure on the monitor blinked out. One frame she was there, the next, the doorway, was empty. "Or not," Jen whispered. "I'll go up," Liam said. His stomach didn't like that idea. "If someone's messing around up there, we gotta clear it." "That's how every horror movie starts," she said, but she didn't stop him. The stairs groaned. The second floor felt empty, but that's not exactly comforting at midnight. "Anyone still up here?" he called. "We're closed. Doors are locked. You're not supposed to be here, man." No answer. He walked to the doorway he'd seen on the monitor. The floorboards creaked under his weight. The smell up here was always the same. Old wood, dust, a faint hint of candle wax from the fake LED candles in the exhibits. Then, clear as if someone was leaning down from the rafters, he heard it. A rope under strain. Not loud, but so specific it made his teeth ache. The creak, stretch, creak of hemp bearing weight. He'd only ever heard that sound through the cheap speakers downstairs during the hanging reenactment audio. Those speakers were off. The sound came from directly over his head. There was nothing up there but roof. His pulse spiked. He took a slow breath. "You're hearing old wood," he told himself. "Old wood moves. It's fine." "You're saying it wrong." The voice was behind him again. Closer. He turned. She was a few feet away, between him and the nearest exit sign. Up close, she looked normal. That was the weirdest part. Not pale and see-through, not glowing, just a tired-looking woman in clothes from another century, with lines on her face and a faint scar across one eyebrow. "What am I saying wrong?" he managed. "Which?" she said. "You put it in front of everything. Which house? Which room? Which gallery?" "That's the brand," he said, and immediately felt stupid explaining marketing to a dead woman. "We weren't witches," she said. We were accused. There's a difference. You live in a time that's supposed to understand that. He swallowed. If I stop using the word, we lose our jobs, he said honestly. Tour buses don't show up for small-town panic history museum. You don't have to stop, she said. Just shift. Tell them the number. He knew that one. 19 hanged, he said quietly. 1 pressed to death with stones. No one burned. Good, she said. Say it like that. Don't let them forget the count. They come here and put hats on and giggle like it was a play. Some of us are trying, he said. I'm trying. I don't want to make fun of you. She studied him for a long moment. From the street, someone shouted, Free tarot readings! And a group laughed. Her expression didn't change. Then don't, she said. Tell them we were people. Say our names soft. And stop pretending this house is where they heard the rope. He opened his mouth to ask another question. The emergency exit sign flickered once. When he looked back at her, he was staring at an empty doorway. His radio crackled at his shoulder, loud in the quiet. Motion just dropped, Jen said. You good? Yeah, he said slowly. I think I just got notes on my script. He didn't quit. Rent didn't care about unresolved historical trauma, but he did change the way he talked. Next night, when a teenager in a plastic witch hat asked, So were they, actually doing spells here? He said, We have no evidence they were doing anything like that. Most of them were just regular people caught in a panic. The witch part came from fear, not from what they were doing. He started ending his tours with something new. If you take anything from this, let it be this. It wasn't magic that killed these people. It was fear and rumor and power. That's a lot scarier than broomsticks. On nights when he did that, the second-floor motion sensor stayed dark. The cameras showed boring, empty rooms. On nights he was tired, slipped back into the fun, punchy lines, Welcome to the home of the witches. This is where the magic happened. All vibe, no wait. The little red light on the alarm panel would sometimes blink once around midnight second floor. Motion. Then clear. He never again saw her as clearly as that second night. Sometimes, reviewing footage, he'd catch something weird. A blur in a doorway. A glitch that looked too much like a person half-stepping into frame. Nothing you could print out and prove. He did drive by Proctor's Ledge more often. The city finally put up a proper memorial there in 2017. Simple stones with the names of the executed. He started stopping there on his days off, just for a minute. No hat, no merch, just reading the names without the word witch in front of them. Salem will always sell you witches in October. It's good business. But if you ever take one of those tours and find yourself in a cute little haunted colonial house, listen to how the guide says the names. If they sound like punchlines, the hallway might feel a little colder. And if anyone ever stands at the back of the group in a plain dress and a white cap, not holding a phone, not laughing, don't point. Just listen. Because some stories don't want you scared of magic. They want you scared of what happens when people get the story wrong for 300 years straight. If you're still listening, you made it through another night. The video ends here. But the places and the stories are still out there. Hit subscribe, and I'll meet you in the dark again.